Thank you for tuning in. This video is going to be about whether women are delusional in their dating expectations when it comes to finance or money, right? So it's not just going to be quote unquote black women, but just women in general. But I specifically, would be more concerned with so-called black women, so-called Negroes, right? Because you are the one that is most likely to affect brothers, right? Such as myself. With that being said, it states here, as of 2023, and we know this stuff is an estimate, right? But you'll get the point. As of 2023, the average salary in the USA varies largely across industries, job positions, age groups, levels of experience, and educational backgrounds, right? Then it says, however, the average salary nationwide in the U.S., according to Forbes, is $59,428. All right, so this is not even the average salary for so-called black men, which is going to be less than that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to round this up to 60,000, right? Even though I know black men on average earn less. So let's click and see what it is for black men. Let's see what comes up. All right, it says the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics detailed this double gap in June of 2020, releasing data on the average weekly and annual salaries broken out by race and gender. White men, $1,115 weekly, or $58,000 annually. Black men, $828 weekly, or $43,000 annually. And the reason for that gap is not just educational, not just because of credentials. It is because of systemic racism, whether you like it or not. But if you don't want to accept that, then you can just continue to pretend that the new Jim Crow does not exist, even though a complete book by Michelle Alexander was written on the topic. That was either 2008 or 2010, somewhere back there. Anyway, I bought the paperback and the audio book, and I'm telling you, she breaks it all the way down. So we're going to look at these average salaries. So if you're a black woman and you saying that a man has to earn six figures or more for you to marry him, I'm going to show you why that's delusional, and I'm going to show you why it's just stupid, right? Unless you want to pay the cost, because nothing is free. So if you're willing to sacrifice and pay the cost to get what you want, and I'll explain to you what that cost is, then perhaps you can have it. But it's a hefty cost. But even if you're trying to get with a so-called white man, he still ain't earning six figures on average. Now this, I would assume this would be base pay, what a person can make working about 40 hours a week. It might be 42 hours, 45 hours sometime. But nobody should have to work 70 or 80 hours a week just to stay living, to maintain. That's ridiculous, right? So if you live above your means like that, you're going to be a slave to money. So now let me show you why this is stupid for you all who think that you're going to have a man earning that much automatically. The average salary was there. Oh, I need to go back. That was one thing I need to go back for. Sorry. I meant to look up one more thing. I need to put how many, right? How many people? There we go. So I typed how many people earn six figures in the USA. 33.6. Keep in mind, this is men and women now. This is not just men. only 33.6. It says a minority of Americans, look, the so-called richest country on earth, make over $100,000 a year. So you're already down to 1/3 right there of people, not just men, not black men, just people in general. According to Zippia, roughly 33.6 percentage of Americans make six figures annually, and 15% of those earn between 100,000 to 150,000. All right. Now, let's see how many men. 17% of all men earn over $100,000 per year. So there you go. Compared to only 8.4% of women. And that's because men do real work. So for you feminists out there, see, only 8.4% of women earn that much. That's because you don't want to build any bridges. You don't want to do any coal mining. You don't want to be an electrician. You don't want to be an HVAC technician. You don't want to restore power to a city when a storm comes through and knocks it out, like the men up there on those utility poles. Do you want to rebuild houses when they've been burned down to the ground by a fire? See? Do you want to work the same amount of hours as men work? Most of the time, you don't. Not on a blue-collar job where you have to sweat and use your muscles, that is. So miss me with that BS. The reason men earn more money is because they work more hours and they do more dangerous and life-threatening jobs and risky jobs than you are willing to do. And sometimes that you are more than you are able to do. Now, but I'm focusing on this percentage. If only 17% of all men earn over $100,000 per year, now I want to show you why you're delusional if you want to try to require any man that dates you or that marries you to have that much up front. And if you don't like math, then hey, you can argue with that all day. Don't argue with me. 100% or 100 minus 17. If only 17% of all men in this country, which means you know it's an even smaller percentage of so-called black men. If only 17% of all men in the United States, the so-called richest country on earth, make that much money, then 83% of the men here you have ruled out. That means 83 out of every 100 men that you see that have a job, they're not good enough for you automatically. So I guess all of them are just lazy bums, huh? Let's expand the math. Let's say 1 million men. 1,000 times 1,000 equals 1 million. Now let's get 83% of that. So you just said 830,000 out of every million men in this country is not good enough for you. So if you subtract 830,000 from the million, I know I'm doing it backwards, but the number will still work the same. Right? That means 170,000 men out of 1 million are the only ones that even come close to being good enough for you. You see that? Now the problem is this. They don't all want you because you might not be good enough for them. Because since you can rule out 83% of the men just based on their finances, let's see how many women that us men can rule out based on how you look. How many women in the USA are obese? So 39.7% of you women in the United States from ages 20 to 39, that means the young women, you all are obese. And as you get a little older, it gets worse, 40-something%. So we're just going to round it off and say 40% of you are obese. Now let's go back to the calculator. So you have no problem saying a man got to be this height, he got to have this kind of job, make this much money, treat me this way. So then let us men have some standards. Let's see, 40% of you are obese. So we're going to subtract that 40. So only 60%, only 60 out of 100 of you Or we could say 600,000 out of 1 million. So just over half of you even meet our standards of beauty. That has nothing to do with your personality, right? Or how disrespectful you may be, right? Which would make it even worse. So we are already cutting you down to like 40 and 50%. You see? But we just gonna stick with nothing but the obesity issue. And this is not to shame people, because they're overweight, because I'm not Lizzo. But her big obese behind have the nerve to shame somebody else because they're fat. You see the hypocrisy? Somebody big and fat like her is being accused of fat shaming people that work for her. That is ridiculous. So if you have weight issues and you're overweight, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that I hate you or other people hate you, right? What I'm saying is we cannot pretend that that's sexy though. At least not to most of us. There's a few men who like women who are big and overweight. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's not that many. But I know one in particular who stated that he wanted a woman to be about 300 pounds. And he proved it by who he was with. All right? But most of us want our women to be a little bit more in shape, a little bit more petite than that. So, if you don't believe that, let's see. You know what? I'll stay here. Now let me look up something else. Beautiful women. Now all I typed was beautiful women. And this time it's without regard to their skin color. I'm just pulling up beautiful women. Right? Let's click on that. All right, so this is not showing their full bodies. Let's see here, at least some of them. Let's type, beautiful women body. Just want to show you something. So you see her. Let me click on that. All right, let's go next. All right, does she look obese to you? Does she look obese? I certainly hope nobody answers yes, because then you anorexic or bulimic or whatever. Does she look obese? No, these look like models, right? Now, I know there's a such thing as plus size models, but the ideal model is not obese. And being plus size don't mean you have to be obese. You might be a taller woman who is a little bit bigger, but just look. So, beautiful women body, when I looked that up, why? Because they're going off of what men like to see, not what you want to pretend that they like to see, all right? So what if men say that we need this standard right here? Not her ethnicity, just her body type and shape, right? So it could be a sister with a body like this. She gonna look good to us. This woman here looks good to her men and vice versa. Because I know that this woman looks good to you so-called Negroes if you seeing it right now as well. So don't front. And you Caucasoids, if you see a sister with a body like this, we know you think she's sexy too, so quit playing. All right, so with that being said, none of these women are obese. So that's because they know. So now this woman here is a little bit bigger, but she's still not obese, right? She's just not as skinny or thin as the other women. So I'm making a point. You women have the nerve to have financial qualifications for men that rule out 83% of them for something they can't control. Everybody is not going to be the CEO at a company, right? Can a man say, hey, you're going to make me the chief executive officer or I quit? Then they're going to say, well, you can take your ass home. You will be quitting, sir. Men have much more work to do to try to control their economics than you do to control how much you eat. Or should I say don't eat? Which one of them takes more energy and effort? If you say you can't lose weight, stop eating meat for 1 month. I guarantee you lose weight. Because I've gone for months without eating meat. And I was losing weight and I wasn't even trying to lose it. And I know of a woman who's done it as well. Right? So don't play with it. Men and women can lose weight if they stop eating meat and instead eat raw vegetables and fruits, nuts and seeds, right? A whole food, plant-based diet of healthy food, you will lose weight. You're going to lose the unhealthy weight. So if you don't like men requiring you to look like this, right? All of you women to look like this, look like these images I'm showing you, right? How dare you say that a man ain't good enough to be with you unless he's in the top 17% of earners of people, right? Which for some people could be damn near impossible. See, you don't like this, do you? So men, if a woman tells you what you need to earn, you need to tell her to make sure she's not obese. Matter of fact, make sure she's not even overweight at all. Make sure she has perky, perfect breasts, a perfect waistline, perfect buttocks and thighs. Make sure her hair comes at least to her shoulders and possibly towards the upper middle or halfway down her back. Make sure she has a pretty soft voice, right? And all the feminine qualities that we like. Don't take any slack from her. Since you're not good enough when you're working hard on a job and you have no control over this entire system, even if you work diligently. So with that being said, there are ways that a man can increase his income. But it's not the right spirit if you have to do it based on somebody telling you you ain't good enough. But you got women that are fat, overweight, obese, don't look like anything, don't keep themselves up, big mouth, disrespectful, and have the nerve to say how much you got to earn for them to accept you. Oh, please. You must be out of your mind. Right? You must be out of your mind. Let's see here. Let's look up average woman. Yeah, let's just look up average woman body. I want to see something. I'm going to put USA. Let's see what images come up here. I don't know if this is going to be true or not. Yeah, these might not be so much. You see how much bigger they got? They are already telling you what it is. Look here. See, average weight for women by age, even though that's just an image there, they're already showing you which way it's going. They're already showing you. Let me see. Average woman body weight. Maybe I'll put that. Let's see what comes up. And if that doesn't show it, anyway, you get the picture. But how about this? Let's go to all. American women aged 20 years and above weigh an average of 170.6 pounds. Now, let's see. While these numbers may be the average, they are not a measure of health. You see that? So now, what's the average height in the USA? Average woman height. About 5'4". So they about 5'4". Some of them may be 5'5", 5'6", whatever. But they weighing 170 pounds. You see that? And a lot of them are obese and weigh more than that. Now, how many women in the USA are obese? We're going back to it. 40-something%. So there you go. So since you want to require men to earn a certain amount of money, then make sure you're not in this 40+% that don't look like anything sexy or attractive at all. I'm just keeping it real. You have no problem telling men they too short. You have no problem telling men they don't make enough money. You have no problem telling them that his penis is too small, right? You have no problem telling them that his house ain't big enough, his car ain't good enough, this ain't good enough, that ain't good enough. So men, stop accepting this crap. If she overweight, then don't be with her. Unless you like a woman that's overweight. Yep, if she's too fat, don't get with her. She say, well, that's not fair. I'm big boned. Well, it's not fair that I can't make the CEO pay me more money at my job. How about that? So, we need to show some love to each other. You need to have some understanding. That is my purpose of this video. If you want respect from men, you need to give respect to them. If you want men to look at you as a whole human being and look at more than just the size of your buttocks and your breast and your waistline, you might want to consider looking at more than just his wallet and how much he earns, especially when they printing the money out of thin air. See, some of you so stupid that you think the money is real. You don't even know this is a monopoly game we're playing. The people that own the Federal Reserve Bank don't work for anything. They print the damn money out of thin air. And you got men in general, but especially so-called black men, whose ancestors were so oppressed they didn't have any wealth to hand down to them because slaves were not allowed to own property. How the hell are you going to leave an inheritance for your children or your grandchildren? That means everybody black is starting from scratch with nothing. And some of you silly so-called Negro women, you want to follow Amber? You better humble yourself down and be the wise woman that you was meant to be. Now, am I telling you to settle for nothing? Right? No, it means work with the man instead of trying to beat him down. That's all it means. Have the right spirit. Have the heart that's trying to build up your house instead of tearing it down. Instead of focusing on what somebody is not or what they can't do or what they didn't do, why don't you focus on what they do that is good? Amplify that, right? And try to work together and build something. Because whether you like it or not, these numbers don't lie. So if you think you good enough, attractive enough, outgoing enough, sexy enough, whatever, to always get one of those men that's in the top 17%, then go right ahead. And those other 83% of men, I guess they're going to have to find another woman, huh? And then you blame brothers for leaving the country. I wonder why. The reason there's so many of you baby mamas, which is a stupid term that I hate, but since you like to be called that, you baby mamas, the reason you don't have fathers in the house is because you're all going after the same small group of men because you think the rest of the men are not good enough. If what I'm saying is not true, let me pull up Nick Cannon. I'm going to prove to you. Nick Cannon children by how many women? This is proof that you women in the United States, all you care about for the most part is some damn money. Except for the virtuous women. See, I'm not talking about you. For you few virtuous women or virtuous sisters, this does not apply to you. And I thank God for you. Because you are the type of woman that deserves whatever a man can afford to give you. Right? And he will gladly do it. Understand that. Nick Cannon is just as famous for his large blended family as he is for hosting The Masked Singer and Wild 'N Out. Cannon has welcomed his 12 children with 6 different women over the years. So here's my question. Why were all these women willing to get pregnant by Nick Cannon, knowing that he was not going to be faithful to them, that he was going to have other women and possibly more children, etc., etc.? It's for one reason and one reason only, because the brother has money, right? Because he has money. So don't tell me you women is looking for a commitment. You hoes, that is. A lot of you are whores. You just a high price whore. You got to raise the price for your truth to come out. If what I'm saying about you women is not true, why is it that a man who has money like Nick Cannon can have sex with as many of you as he wants and you don't complain as long as he pays for those children, paying way more than it costs to bring up the child, thus making you rich by becoming one of his children's mothers? That's what's going on. Let's see Nick Cannon's net worth. So the facts are the facts. What is Nick Cannon's net worth in 2023? Nick Cannon's net worth in 2023 is estimated at $20 million. Given that he recently told the LA Times he makes $100 million per year, That unsubstantiated report seems a little low. But then again, he doesn't have a high overhead. No, excuse me, he does have. He does have a high overhead. So he might make $100 million per year, but he probably has to pay a whole lot of money out. Sure he does. You got child support payments, you got employees to pay, you got whatever other expenses he has, but he's rich. And so woman after woman, regardless of her ethnicity, religion, or whatever it might be, is willing to have sex with him and get pregnant with no promise of marriage or a ring or anything. Why? Because he's rich. That makes her a high-priced hoe. Like G Money said on New Jack City, don't get it twisted. I'm taking y'all all the way back to the new old school. Y'all know what G Money said, Nino Brown's right-hand man. He told a woman on New Jack City she ain't nothing but a high-priced hoe. Meaning you won't be a prostitute on the street for $100, have sex with a man, or even $200 or $300. Though some of you will do that. But if he's got $20 million net worth and he's bringing in millions more every year, you're willing to have sex with him and have his baby, knowing that he has no plan to make you his wife. Why? Because all you care about is the damn money. So that means money is your God. So that's why it's so many single mothers, because there's so many of you who can't get to a man like Nick Cannon. So you have to make do and try to get as close to some money as you can. And you're trying to get child support and whatever else from these men, right? And then you blaming them for being a single mother. But we see the truth right here. We see the truth right here. So go ahead and keep going after that top 17% and see what these other 83% of men do. I suggest you men no longer donate to any sperm bank. If you have ever given, stop giving to the sperm bank. Don't have sex with a woman who doesn't appreciate you for who you are, period. If you don't make enough money for her, thank God if she tells you up front. Because that way when you get your money, you won't be stupid enough to share it with her. Right? Especially if she's fat, obese, or whatever else, and has the nerve to look down on you. Why should you try to work hard and earn 6 figures or more for somebody who is not going to work hard to keep themselves in shape for you and only values you for your damn paycheck? Yes, that is insulting. I'm telling you, even if I had $1 billion, I wouldn't give one of these hoes the time of day. Men, any woman that tells you what you better have before she get with you, you tell her she better get the hell out your face. Because men don't need women telling them how to be men. These women need to learn how to be women. The last thing a grown-ass man needs is a woman telling him how to be a man. When your ass don't even know how to be a woman. If you knew how to be a woman, you would know to shut your damn mouth and stop being disrespectful. That's why nobody wants Western women. Because they see this right here. The whole world knows that you ain't nothing but a bunch of money-grubbing skeezers. Right? And for the few sisters or few women over here who are virtuous, who do actually value men, who love them as human beings and respect them, whether he makes $50,000 a year, $40,000 a year, or $300,000 a year, she gonna respect him because she knows he's a man. Then you call them pick-me's. You call them settling. You insult them by saying, girl, you ain't got to put up with that. No. You're single and she's married, so shut the hell up. The women who respect men will have no problem getting married. Facts. So with that, I hope this has helped some of you. It may have pissed some of you off. Who cares? You can't please everybody and make everybody happy. Unless everybody that comes to you is like these women that come to Nick Cannon and you got enough money to give to them after you get them pregnant with no promise of marriage. Have a good day.